Hello and welcome back to another episode of Tectonic Takes. We're on episode 97. Episode 100 is coming up real fast. And I mean, I'm glad that I joined like near the end so I could just like ride the roller coaster and just coast to it. Ivan already did the hard work. Ivan and Fabio did all the hard work. But now Ivan's not here. It's just me and you, Devin. How you doing?
I'm a little tired, but hey, thinking about Quakes a lot. That we fought hard this past weekend. I I, I I'm feeling good.
Yeah, it was a emotional weekend. Uh, like we had Nashville on Saturday and Quakes 2 on Sunday. We are going to talk about both of those games as well as the previous game on the Wednesday. I believe we went to Portland. But yeah, speaking of Portland, what were your thoughts on that game? Because for me, I don't have many. The result is what I expected. I mean, Hoppe got a goal and that's great. But other than that, there's not too many positives.
I agree. There's not much to look back on. Honestly, it's one of those games where you just want to forget it and move on. We only played 34 games in a season, but right now I want to think about it as we play 33. Um, so that being said, the Quakes have never won in Portland. We've discussed this before. That didn't change at all. We didn't really look like we want to put up a fight against Portland. But then again, it was a midweek game. It was Wednesday. I'm not going to make too many excuses for it. But I think what we saw is exactly what we expected to see. I don't know about you, Abram, but seeing the team the way they played through the back, everything looked, jumbled. Everyone was confused. The midfield didn't know how to pass the ball out. Um, it was a little shocking to me, but I'm really happy with Hoppy and getting his goal and finally breaking that deadlock. And he's actually getting minutes now. And
Right.
something I alluded to about 6 to 8 weeks ago when we got Hoppy was it's going to take 6 to 8 weeks to adapt to the team. And right about now is the time where he's beginning to show his true strength. So yeah, again, big props to Hoppy for that goal in Portland.
Props to Hoppy, definitely.
Hoppy
No, I
style.
mean, just to talk about Hoppy, because there's not much else to talk about for the Portland game. He has definitely improved. I think that when he started, we were all kind of shocked. We were like, "Where's Cade?" you know, but he, as I said, he had too much confidence and felt like he could take on all the players that he was coming up against because he is not an MLS player. He's a European player. And I think that he's kind of lost that, chip on his shoulder where now he's like playing correctly, doing the basics right. When he gets the ball, he gives the ball, and he's not trying to do too much unless we need him to. And we did need him to do a lot when he came on against Nashville. That was a completely different game, and I thought that he was, in that, I guess, 20, 30-minute span, I think that he was one of the better players on the pitch.
Totally. And going back to what you said in a similar way, it's he's playing with fundamentals now. He's not overthinking it. He's not overdoing it. It's like what a lot of European players come into this league and they're like, "Oh, this must be so easy. We can just dribble around these guys like nothing." I think Hoppy had that same idea, and um, it kind of gave him a little bit of a shock. Like, hey, maybe this league isn't what it's meant out. What it sounded to be. So he went back to fundamentals. Took him a little while to fit into Lucci's system, and now here we see him thriving after 2 games, scoring 2 goals back to back. Uh,
Right.
so transitioning to that, Nashville.
Yeah, Nashville was. I was shocked to see how well we played. Um, I had a friend going, and it was like their first or second Quakes game, and they wanted to see like what I think they should bet on. And I don't like to do this, and I can't believe I'm saying it, but I told them to bet for Nashville, because they have Hani Mukhtar, they have Walker Zimmerman, and we've struggled to score goals, and Hani Mukhtar is like one of the MVPs of this league. But thankfully, we caught them at a good time where they were like in a dip in form. Um, Before their previous game where they played Kansas City, where they won 3-0, they hadn't won in like over 5 games, I believe. which was is pretty bad for Nashville. So I'm glad we caught them at that time, and we ended up giving them a really good game. What do you think?
I think we gave him a good test. The first half wasn't pretty. I think we were making a lot of mistakes, and Nashville seemed to be the team to put pressure on us. And it looked like we were trying to absorb it in a way. We went down first, if I'm correct, right? Nashville scored their
Um,
first goal, and then we had
yeah,
to come back.
yeah, right,
Yeah.
yeah,
So the fact that we had to fight to get a goal back, it shows true value to this team and that we are ready for playoffs. So
yeah.
no,
Oh,
go
go
on,
ahead.
go on.
Okay. I just wanted to go into kind of the specifics because I've noticed that Trauco he's getting beat on his our left hand side, their right hand side, and it's because of pace. The goal that we conceded against Nashville was a breakaway, and then they were on the right. They crossed it in. They crossed in a low cross, but Trauco couldn't even get near the forward to get in the way of the cross or do anything about it because he's just not fast enough. And I feel like we had a similar goal. I think maybe the first goal against that Portland scored against us was a similar situation. A breakaway on the right hand side, they crossed in a low cross, and then they finish. And I think that the only thing you can really put that up to is his pace. I think he's 30 years old, but I don't think it's a secret that he's not necessarily in the best physical condition. But he tends to get around that because he's super intelligent and amazing on the ball. But I think teams are watching tape and looking at what our weaknesses are, and if you put it in behind Charco, if you have a fast forward who's with decent speed, they're gonna beat him pretty much every time.
AKA Hani Mukhtar. Do you
Yeah.
do you have any players that you wouldn't mind seeing replacing Trauco?
Well, the obvious choice is Marie. The thing is, I am not a fan of Akapo right now either. The last two games, I feel like Akapo has been one of the weaker links. And it's not like anything super quantifiable. I think that if you look at his pass percentage, it probably wouldn't be too high. I don't have any stats in front of me, but I don't know if he's overthinking it or being too casual. But he needs to find the middle ground fast because he's losing the ball in dangerous areas, and um, we've seen it a few times this season where he gives the ball up and then they have an attack right away because he's the right back. You know what I mean? And then he bombs forward, which you want him to do, but that leaves a lot of space behind him. Um, so Murray can't back them both up at the same time. Murray is good. I do think that Murray has also had a dip in form. It's a terrible time for all three of our fullbacks to have a dip in form. But uh, Murray did come on for Charco in this last match against Nashville, and I do think that he had a major impact on the game. I mean, you probably saw it. He got on the field and started running at the defense immediately. He's obviously a very consistent player who can play on both sides. Very lucky to have him, but I think the only answer is we need to buy another one. You know?
Sort of. I sort of agree with finding an upgrade on a fullback extent. However, I still believe in a capo. A capo definitely has a bunch of uh, extensive dribbling knowledge, and I think he can beat his man whenever he chooses to do so. As I've been making what's it called, skill check edits for the team. A capo comes up a lot, and he likes to beat his man. He knows how to fake a player, especially when receiving a pass and taking a first touch forward beyond his opposition um, player. So he still has it in the books. I think it's just the form that's currently dipped, like you said. But
Mm.
I'm really hoping that a capo would get it back, and I believe a capo can find his way again, especially on the right hand side where he seems more comfortable. Um,
Yeah.
but what like you said, Trauco, I'm not sure if Trauco is able to regain his form. I do think Marie should be given a chance as a starter on the left side. Let Trauco rest, given how many times he's played and the amount of national team games he's had this season. something came up in another group, and that stated, our center defensive mid, Carlos Carrezo, he needed a rest because of how many games he's played and how many national teams games he's taken part of. And I think it's the same thing for Trauco. I think if we give Trauco a little bit of a rest and let Marie play some, especially in the last couple of games, we want everybody to play uh, as best as they can, and I think Trauco would benefit by giving Paul Marie some time, some game time.
Yeah,
That's
and it offers something different, right? It's just like Murray is a different profile to Trauco, so we like to play out of the back with Trauco, but Murray can also play out of the back, but he can do things that Trauco can't, and maybe Trauco can do things that Murray can't. So it's just like it changes the complexion of the team, with the different players that go in there.
Yeah, for sure. And there's also that aspect where when Marie was subbed in, we were transitioning into a 3-5-2 later into the half of the season, or sorry, into the half of the game. So there's that different aspect where I think Trauco could be given an opportunity in a 3-5-2, especially as a left wing back. I think he would thrive in that because now he has three center backs to hold himself to,
Right.
I guess, accountable. Or he can be that third center back, so he doesn't have to be relying on that pace. He can already sit back with Mensa and Rodriguez. So
Hmm.
I think those two are viable options for Trauco. But being on that that left hand side of a 4-man back line, really exposes the Quakes defense. So I think in an aspect where Lucci wants to use the 3-5-2, I'd say we throw in Paul Marie, and if we want to use a third center back, Trauco would be a great option for that.
Yeah, he's obviously not a orthodox center back, but he's done the job. His positioning is amazing. He has good stand tackling. He has great passing out of the back and great vision. So he does have a lot of the traits that you would need. He just doesn't have the height or the strength that a usual center back would have. But I did want to pose to you something. You've seen him a few times, but you're not too familiar with the guy, Oscar Verhoeven. We're going to talk about Quakes 2 later today, but if a capo is struggling and it's bad, if it's like truly bad, then I don't think that bringing in someone like Oscar Verhoeven would be that detrimental. He, in my opinion, has a lot to learn. He is 16, but he's very fast. I think that he's fast enough to play first team soccer, play MLS soccer, and he does have good skill on the ball. And he'll obviously struggle adapting, but I think that we have to start thinking about that because Capo and Trauco aren't going to be here forever. So he's only going to have to be like on the horizon.
Right, and our fullbacks Trauco and Acapo are they're only getting older, and they're already 29 years, 30 years old.
Right.
So they will definitely need a replacement at some point, and I think you're right. Verhoeven is that player. Given this certain time of the season, we're almost reaching the postseason right now. I don't think it's an accurate time or an appropriate time to bring in Verhoeven, especially
Definitely not.
putting him under such pressure as a 16-year-old homegrown. I don't see that being something Lucci is even remotely considered. I
No.
think starting him in professional first team matches in US Open Cup would be perfect. Or even
Mm.
starting him in Quakes 2 playoffs games, that would be probably the best thing that he could get in terms of experience and playing next to someone who's already had first team experience, like Daniel Muni or Seeley's played a couple of games now. There's a couple players around him that I think he would benefit from playing in Quakes too. But we can get to that in a little bit.
Yeah, and
Um,
I want to be clear that I don't. If I was Luigi, I would not throw Oscar Verhoeven onto the field. I feel like that's child abuse. I feel like social services is going to be called like, bro, that kid's still in high school. Leave him alone. But I mean, it would be cool. That's some FIFA career mode stuff right there. That's,
oh yeah, that'd be
that's
awesome.
he would probably be stoked. If you ask him, he's like, hell yeah, I want to play. Yeah, Capo can get it out of there. But yeah, there's not too much to say. Actually, I did want to comment on one more thing for the Nashville game. Uh, that like 10-minute stretch, Devin, where we could have scored like 16 goals, and just they got cleared off the line. There was a defender in the way. The keeper, Miro, just didn't want to shoot anywhere but the keeper's stomach. It was crazy. What do you have to say about that?
Dude, my stomach was churning for those 10 minutes. And it's not even just 10 minutes, it was the 3 minutes when we had that first shot by, what was it? Was it Hoppe? No, it was Miro. The first shot by Miro,
Yeah.
passed in, takes a first touch, turns around, then takes a shot directly at the keeper. Keeper deflects it, comes back. Hoppe takes a tag at it, goes directly to the keeper, or either that or the center back stops it. One of the
Yeah.
two.
Center
Um,
back. And
yeah,
then to Yule.
comes back out, and I think Nico's given a chance,
No,
didn't
it's
he?
Yule. Nico has a chance
Oh yeah,
later
you're
on.
right.
But
Yule Yule has a fire. He has a go at it, hits the post, comes out, and then like a couple seconds
Espinosa
later, Espinosa steals the ball off of a Nashville player, comes back.
nutmegs the I can't say that word. Nutmegs. Yeah,
We'll bleep
nutmegs the
that.
dude.
We'll bleep that. Anyways, yeah, he fires it straight at the keeper, and just, oh my god, for that 1 minute and 30 seconds, I was standing next to a good buddy of mine, and I think we were just staring at each other in disbelief for like a good 50 seconds. Like, how did that ball not go in?
And then the Hoppe chance where Espinosa played the ball in behind, and Hoppe just got to it, and it got past the keeper, but it was just trickled, and then it hit the post, inside of the post.
Dude, I was shocked that Hoppe even got a chance on that. Honestly, when I
Yeah.
saw the keeper coming out, I'm like, keeper's got it. There's no chance.
No.
And then Hoppe gets a foot to it, and it does get deflected by the keeper at the end, and it trickles and trickles and trickles, and you think it's gonna go in, and it hits the post yet again. The defender tries to clear it from Nashville, and it hits off Jibo, barely escaping the post yet again. Oh my god! And in the replay, you can see Christian Espinosa like holding his face, and then he sees the Jibo deflection, and he like throws his head back even more, thinking, "How the heck are none of these chances going in?" Yeah, no, it's insane, and I'm gonna make another point on this. It is insane how in the second half we had so many more chances, and the only reason that I can think of that we had these chances, and I'm sure a ton of Quakes fans are going to scream with me here. Scream with me here is because we switched to a 3-5-2. Because we switched to a 3-5-2 was the reason that we got so many chances. We had a 4-3-3. I think Cade during the 4-3-3 had the best opportunity in the first half, where again,
oh my god,
he hits the crossbar. I thought that was going in, but no, it smacks back out. It's just our chance of luck.
I do want to say something about that specific chant. That Cade chance would have been like number 2 in our goal of season contenders. But so before the match, they were warming up obviously, and Wando, pulls Cade aside. He pulls him away from the drill, and he sets it up for Cade to cut inside and do a shot at the back post. And so he does it the first time, shanks it like super high, and it's just like this terrible shot. Cade's obviously like distraught. And Wando, he grabs him. And he's like, hey, he hypes him up, and then he tells him like how to hit it, and he's just like, they got another ball to do it again. Cade hits the ball so hard into the side netting and scores a banger. Like I thought that the ball was gonna go through the net. It was crazy. And then Wanda's obviously like freaking pumped for him, and then he does it in the game. He doesn't score obviously. He gets close. He hits the crossbar, but Wanda, as a coach, it's cool to see he actually has an impact on what's happening on the field. You know what I mean?
He certainly does. I mean, it is Wando. He is the idol of San Jose Earthquakes. Like, there's no one bigger than him, in my opinion. That said, I think it's nice to see Cade taking that inside touch and finishing so quickly. Earlier in the season, we saw Cade Cowell take that inside touch, and he waits for some time to release the ball off his foot and fire a shot on target, or not even on target, somewhere into the crowd, and I'm not trying to insult him in any way. I'm trying to construct some constructive criticism here. He's made drastic improvements in the last couple of games alone.
Right.
It's almost like his national team stints almost hinder him in a way, because once he's back after some national team events, it's after like 2 or 3 games, he's so much better. Um, but going back to the original statement here, uh, Cade Cowell, he's finding his form in a way where he's not producing points, but he's generating opportunities for the team, and he's improving on himself.
Yeah, he looks dangerous, which is huge. Like he's not scoring, he's not getting those assists, but in terms of the build up and uh, even off the ball, he's improved like 1,000% from the first season where he was kind of just like waiting to turn it on. Like he doesn't actually know where he's supposed to be or when he's supposed to start sprinting. But yeah, he's improved heavily. I did want to touch on the you were saying the 3-5-2 was the one thing that changed the game, which I do agree. I think 3-5-2 fits our personnel and the way we like to play more because of the wideness in the center and like how we can move the ball around. We have the personnel to do that. But I thought that you were gonna say the reason that we got more chances and were more creative in the second half was because of Nico Shakiris.
Yes,
I feel
that
like
too.
that guy. Yeah, that guy. I mean, he doesn't seem like he's 18 years old. He has such a big impact on the game. He just when he gets the ball, it's immediately positive. He wants to make a difference every time he gets the ball, and he's not like doing it for his glory. He's doing it because he wants to win and he wants the team to do well. And he's like creating things, making the passes, and ready to get the ball back. Even he's a competitor off of the ball too.
Yeah, he is. And one of the things that I like about Nico Tsakiris in comparison to the other players on the team is he knows when to dribble forward. He knows to keep the ball close to him in a dribble. It's something that you would expect to see in a midfielder, but he does it exceptionally well. He knows when to do it, how to do it, and he knows how to switch the field when needed. When a team presses the way Nashville did and RSL did against us on one side of the field, he knows when to switch the ball. He knows when to move the ball into free and open space, and he knows where that space is. Um, you see a lot of times in games, I've said this before in the podcast, but he knows when to make, he makes a lot of head checks, and he knows where the opposition players are, and he knows what to do about it. That's one of the biggest praises that I have about Nico is his ability, his vision is exceptionally better than most of the midfielders on the team, and that's why I love Nico so much, and I think that's why he has such a big impact on the game.
No, definitely. I think his father really raised him right. I've heard a lot of good things about him off the field, but coming from that background where you can't escape your coach, where he's telling you things all the time, and Nico definitely seems to be to have internalized those things and have a really high match IQ because of it. And you pair that with his talent. He's amazing on the ball, but that's not really what you notice uh, consistently. Like he's just making the right play, and then when he's in trouble, right, he can pull out like an amazing skill and get past the guy. And that's why a lot of people who aren't Quakes fans might that's what they might notice first. But for us, like what he's consistently doing for us is pushing us forward and like getting us space and being creative. And honestly, I think that what he provides rivals what Jamiro Montero provides at this point because Montero is probably better defensively. He's more of an animal and has more stamina at least. But offensively, Miro is just not doing it. What do you think?
I'm interested in that comparison because Montero definitely has more on the ball skill, given what I just praised Nico for.
Mhm.
But in terms of like FIFA's star skills, I think Montero has more of it. You can see a lot of Cruyff passes, back heel flicks. Um, he doesn't even. Montero is one of those guys where he doesn't even have to look around the field to know where a player is, and that's how good his attacking vision is. He made one of those passes to Jeremy Abobasi versus RSL, and unfortunately Abobasi skied it. But Montero didn't even look that way. He just backflicked it from a Nico pass, and Jibo had space to shoot. it's one of those things that's what we need to see in a cam with a Bobasi. And I think Nico, given his age, he's only 18, 19,
18.
18. He's only 18. So Nico has a ton of time to improve that. That said, I think Montero has that advantage of on the ball skill over Nico. However, I disagree with that more with Montero being better as a defensive midfielder, or he makes better defensive plays. I honestly think that Nico and Montero are equal to that. Maybe the statistics or someone who's got statistical knowledge can prove me wrong, but I've seen video of Nico anticipating passes in their own offensive third. They've won balls back in the offensive third because of Nico's ability to read a play. Um, so I don't know. I'm in limbo of who's better and who's not because their advantages and disadvantages kind of balance each other out.
Right, and we see why Lucy has such a hard job. We have a really talented group of players, and he has to put them together and get a result. But I did want to say that that comparison you made about the FIFA skill moves. That's a very accurate way to phrase it. And I know many of our fans probably won't be familiar with the FIFA stats or anything like that, but Montero does have more skill. You know what I mean? Like with terms of step overs and flicks and tricks and stuff, Montero does edge Nico on that certainly, and he has more experience. But like sometimes he tries too hard and maybe forces a pass that doesn't work, and that's where the downfalls start. I do think that on his day when Montero is running on all cylinders, he rivals any cam in this league almost. But we only see glimpses of that guy anymore. We do see him from time to time. He does do those fancy things and create something out of nothing. But Nico, I think, does it more consistently when he's on the field and goes for maybe a higher percentage pass and, therefore more effectively brings the ball forward. Yeah, in terms of defensively, we'll have to look at the stats, and we'll have to disagree on that one. Uh, but I think with that, we can go and talk about Quakes 2. On this past Sunday, Quakes 2 played their decision day um, playoff qualifying match. They needed a win, and they got that win against LAFC 2 in a 1-0 win. Devin, did you get to see the game on TV?
I unfortunately did not. I got to watch on my phone, maybe time to time. I heard the goal was scored, and I had to rush back on my phone because at work at the time. But no, I only heard snippets and bits. But I heard you were at the game, so I will let you take forth in this conversation.
Yeah, it was a good game. I thought that Quakes 2 were by far the better team. We knew this coming into this match. LAFC were second to last. I don't know where they are right now. They might be full last, but um, there was a moment there where the ref was just not on our side, and LAFC was starting to like get their rhythm and start coming at us, and it was scary. But thankfully, we had Daniel Muni, Oscar Agrin, and Casey Walls all on the same team, and that's a nightmare for uh, an MLS Next Pro offense to go up against.
So my question to you, Abram,
Yeah,
we haven't seen Oscar Ogren in a while. He's been on loan to another USL club. This
right.
is his first game back with the San Jose Earthquakes, especially the second team. How did Oscar Ogren do?
A lot of people I talked to would give him the man of the match. He did get the Faultliners man of the match award, where they give out scarves for every player of the match, and it's a really cool thing that they do. I don't know how they afford so many scarves, but that's on them. But
We'll leave it to speculation.
right. Um, anyways, Oscar is a very solid center back. He's not fast. He's big, he's strong, and he can play a hell of a pass. So when he gets the ball, he's a threat. He can pick out the corners with ease, either foot. I think in terms of center backs, uh, he might rival Rodriguez in terms of long passing, but obviously Rodriguez has the size and the pace and the 5-star skill moves, like we mentioned before. But no, Agrin was great. He was very solid. He didn't get beat very often. I think that if we needed him in a pinch, he could take Beeson's spot. But Beeson was never set in stone in the first place, so that's not really saying much. But obviously, in an MLS Next Pro game, um, he's basically Gerard Piqué.
That's a heck of a statement.
Obviously, relatively, I'm not saying that he is going to be as good as Gerard Piqué. And I forgot about the Shakira stuff too, so we don't want to brag about that. Maybe that's not the best, comparison, but he is a great center back and has a lot of great attributes.
I'm sure he has more of a humanitarian side as well. So next question for you, Abram. Who is your, given the regular season is over, who is your standout player of the season overall for Quakes 2?
So I'm gonna ask for some parameters. So are we talking about like players who play for the first team, like Buddha? Because I feel like that's a little bit unfair to put him with the rest of the guys, or are we just like only Quakes 2 regulars?
So we will start with regular Quakes 2s. They do not have a first team contract.
Okay, so without a first team contract, that takes out Verhoeven, Mendoza, Medina, Tingy, Sealy, Richmond, and Buddha, and Agrin, and Walls,
I think
and
I think
Emmy.
I think Mendoza and Verhoeven are still valid because they haven't had
Okay,
first team minutes at all. So you can
yeah,
add them.
they anyone who hasn't played like any first team minutes,
Correct.
that's a
Yeah,
good.
yeah,
Uh, so you say the number one? You say
yeah.
what was the
The
question?
overall best player.
Okay, um, let's see. So at the beginning of the season when he first came onto the scene, I would say Mendoza, because the way that he orchestrates play is fantastical. It's beautiful, and it's really like he plays the beautiful game. I love talking about Eddie Mendoza, and I will talk about him as long as you guys let me. But he unfortunately, he gets shy, and I think that he, has issues with that. As a CDM, you kind of have to have a solid mentality, and I do think that he has a lot of attributes, but he has to work on his. I guess he has to get that dog in him. He doesn't really have that dog in him where he might shy away from a tackle because he doesn't know if he'll get it. But you have to make that tackle. You have to put yourself in there. Um, but I would say maybe Hadigan. Is Hadigan or Blancas. It's really hard because Hadigan has been consistently a player who I'm like, he could play with the first team if we needed a player in his position. Unfortunately, we don't. We have Christian Espinosa. Hadigan, he came from a background where he was featuring for the USA Youth National Team regularly and getting a lot of minutes with them. And he was touted to be really big, but his career took him on a path that was really difficult for him, where he was like, I might have to give up on soccer at 21 years old. But he, for me, is obviously a step above and could be playing in a higher level than he is, so we're lucky to have him. Whereas Lalo Blancas is the player that I felt at the beginning of the season was playing to his level. But I don't know what happened, but he picked up and he's been the guy for Quakes 2. He's been scoring goals, setting them up. He's up and down the field, taking every free kick, every corner kick, and he's the reason that we won on Sunday. He made the run in the first place for Buddha to give it to him, and then he gave it back to Buddha for Buddha to score. And that pass that he made to Buddha to get the goal was an easy pass. He has a lot of quality, and that's why we were actually looking to bring him in on a homegrown contract last season. But that didn't end up working out, unfortunately.
Is there a reason why it didn't work out, or if it's not meant to be said?
No, no, no. You know, I wouldn't have brought it up if I couldn't say. And I don't know that many things that are hot secrets. So the reason is because we have Nico Shakiris, uh, Jermaine Montero, we have Cruz Medina. We have a lot of players who play an attacking mid role. We don't need him. It's unfortunate, but same thing with Hadigan. He plays right wing. We have a right wing. Uh, so the effort that it would take to get Lalo Blancas on a homegrown deal, I guess, was not worth it to the FO. And so and I don't know that he would get too much playing time anyways. So it's probably better for him that he's not tied to that kind of deal and could move on, to better things if he needed to. But obviously, I wouldn't want to see that. But if it's what's best for him, that might be why
Right.
they didn't do
I
it.
I think it would be amazing to see a lot more homegrowns on our team, but given our current quality, it'll be difficult to bring anyone in at this stage, or we'd have to
Definitely.
eliminate a lot of first team players, in which I don't really feel as it would be so beneficial. Um, so that being said, we can switch to different positional player of the seasons.
Okay.
You've mentioned the overall. We can think offensive player of the season. Who is that for Quakes 2?
So if we're going by the same parameters, and I take out Buddha, because it's Buddha, but
We can count Buddha because Buddha's played almost the majority of games for Quakes 2. So why not add him?
that's not necessarily true. He has played them lately because we got Hoppe in and Akinola, so he hasn't been featuring for the first team as much. But his inclusion in the Quakes 2 roster as a regular has been a new development. However, it is Buddha. He had a lot of hype going into last year when we first signed him on a from the draft, and I do think that skill that we saw when we brought him in is there. It's tangible and it exists, but for whatever reason we don't see it at an MLS level, and I think that it's because honestly he's not as fast as he thinks he is. Um, he's very good, very skillful, but he tries to beat people with pace, and he doesn't have that pace. He's not slow, but he's no Cade Cowell, he's no Benji Kanovich. Um, he just doesn't have what he thinks he has. And when we brought him in, the one thing that he said about himself that he thought would be an asset to the team was speed. And like, where is that speed? It's unfortunate, but if he was like more trying to make chances in the build up instead of trying to be at the end of them, I think that he would have a more prominent role. Um, but he is killing it with Quakes 2. He has crazy skill. He can finish, and he's strong. He's smart. He has a lot of really good attributes that make him like a menace in the MLS Next Pro League.
So Semi Buddha will take the throne there on an offensive player of the season. How about midfield player of the season? I know there's a lot of choices that you can make. You've already named a couple.
Yeah.
Um, feelings aside, what do you think?
You know, so my heart wants to say Jerry Ayon. Jerry Ayon has been someone who has been crazy. It's crazy how much he's involved in my career because
Is your
he
bestie?
he was my first interview ever, and I keep doing interviews with him after the match. Actually, I'll just go into this real quick, then we'll go back to topic. Um, After the match, I did an interview with him, which was a surprise. I thought I was getting Blancas, but I got Ion, which I was stoked. But he saw me, and obviously we know each other at this point, and we just dapped each other up, and we just went into the interview. I was just like, he looked as excited to see me as I was to see him. He was coming off of getting into the playoffs, and I watched it. I watched his growth from the first season he was here, and he means a lot to me being my first ever player interview. So I would love to say him as my MVP in the midfield, but I think with the way Lalo Blanca stepped it up this season, you can't overlook him. I think that he's the main reason we're in the playoffs. He is a dynamo in the midfield. He attacks with the quality of a first team player. He has incredible dead ball skills and also just crosses and passes, and he's fast and he's tall and he's strong. He has a lot of really good attributes for this league. Um, and also, when we go to penalties, he is the best penalty taker, I think, other than Espinosa probably in the Quakes, all of Quakes. So he has never missed a penalty, as far as I'm aware. So he's very valuable in terms. And when you are talking about a league that when you tie, every tie goes directly to penalties. We have at least one for sure that's going in when he's on the field. So that's invaluable in my opinion.
Well, there was a what is it in the podcast? We were discussing against RSL, or you guys were discussing against RSL, or it was with you and me. You mentioned one of the players to look out for was Lala Blancas towards the end of the season, um, and now he's reaping his rewards with his contributions to the team and his work ethic off the field. Whether he's in the gym or whatever he's doing, it's working. Um,
No, definitely. Yeah, I don't know what he's doing. He shows up in the best outfits you ever seen, like pregame outfits, and whatever it is, he's changed his form around. Not that it was bad, but he was kind of average before. Now
yeah.
he's like, wow, that's a player. But yeah, I don't know.
So what I'm hearing, he's adding class on the field and
Yeah,
off.
right, exactly.
So how about our defensive player of the season? I know there might be some iffy parameters here. I don't think Daniel Muni should count towards any of that because he's gotten some first team minutes, and I don't think Sealy warrants that Muni effect. I don't think he's played enough minutes for the first team, so
Right.
he could count as well.
So, um, I was thinking about this one because it's hard. Quakes to struggle defensively. So it is a difficult question, but I would say that it would have to be Cam Sealy. Uh, he started the season as a central defensive midfielder, and that is what he is naturally. But early on, we had some injuries to center backs, and so he had to go fill that role. Not because he, spent much time there in college or anything. It's just because he is an animal and is just he's huge, he's strong, he can jump. He has a lot of characteristics that are very attractive for a center back position. I believe he's like 5'10", so he's not even like tall. He's just like his presence is bigger than anything.
I think the Earthquakes have mentioned that he's one of the strongest players on the team, right?
Right?
He
Yeah,
can lift. He can lift weights.
I've been saying, dude, he is wham as hell. Like he's probably I don't remember who said it. I think Will Richmond said, but he's probably like the whitest player on the Earthquakes.
Oh, I heard whitest
Uh,
as in color. Hey,
no,
what?
no, no, he started the season as a midfielder, but I would say that because he spent so much time as a defender, I would put him as my defensive MVP.
Okay, fair enough.
And then for
Um,
keeper,
oh,
it would have
sorry,
to be
sorry. I
no,
wanted to mention one thing. We need to keep Cam Sealy healthy and okay. I think it was at one point I was walking down the stairs from the Quakes versus Nashville game, and I had noticed a woman was rushing down the stairs or across in front of me, and I swear it was Cam in front of me, and she pushed him over, and he looked like he was about to fall down a flight of stairs.
jeez.
He somehow managed to stay on his feet. At least I think that was him. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe I'm tripping. Uh,
Honestly, if he did
it could have
fall,
been.
I would be worried. If he did fall, I'd be more worried for the stairs. I think
It
that he
wasn't
caused
even the
more
stairs. It was probably the chairs. Yeah, the chairs are.
yeah, he caused more property damage than anything. Um, but yeah, he's a beast, and I hope that he gets some minutes. He's gotten 2 appearances so far for the first team, but not any time to show what he could do. I think he's gotten like 4 minutes in 2 appearances. That's not enough. Um, but the keeper would have to be Emi Ochoa. I think it's kind of unfair that we have such a good keeper playing as our MLS Next Pro keeper, because he's awesome, and I think that in a lot of teams he would be the number two, but we have a really good keeper set up here at the Earthquake. So
Right.
for
It's a tough.
now he's starting for
It's a,
the Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna say it's a tough choice between De La Cerda and Emi Ochoa because they've both come up huge and throughout the season. I kind of hope at some point Emi gets first team minutes because he's shown his class for Quakes 2 in the games that I've watched. He's made some huge saves. He's come up with some penalty saves. Yeah, he's the man.
Yeah, and you touched on De La Cerda for a minute there, and I did want to give him a shout out because I couldn't ask for a better number two for Quakes too. He is amazing. He's a great leader off the field, and on the field he's like the only guy you can hear because he's screaming so loud. And he is 5'9", which is shorter than you'd expect for a keeper at this level. But it doesn't show, man. He's a monster in goal, and he makes amazing saves. And I mean, he's a really cool dude too. So shout out to him, and I hope he stays around because when Emmy, has to go, be the number two or whatever, Eric is an amazing backup. So, it's awesome to have him here.
Absolutely. Although I think there's another keeper. Sorry, I just want to get across all these names. Chris Nguyen. You know anything about him?
So Chris Nguyen is he hasn't had any appearances for Quakes 2, but he did get the number two position on Sunday. Eric De La Soto was at the game, but I think that he might be on paternity leave. I don't know why. But Chris is another keeper who is on the shorter side, and we haven't seen much from him. But I would assume that to because usually when a keeper is shorter, they have immense skill, and I did see him make a few really nice saves during the warm up. So um, I'm, I think that he is one to look out for. But right now, we haven't seen anything from him. But it is very promising that he got the number two call up.
Fair enough. Yeah, I haven't seen we have I haven't seen anything from him. Um, but I know he's around, and like someone in our Discord server said, he might be short statured, but that also shows his skill set. You know,
Right.
he's still being chosen for the team, and that shows a lot of fight and how talented he really is um, to be chosen.
Right. Like to get the attention of an MLS team. Despite the being short, as a short king myself, like it's super, it's
Can
super
confirm.
impressive.
Can
Yeah,
confirm.
it's super impressive for Chris to be doing what he's doing at a really high level. Like not everyone gets here. Um, so I don't know how old he is. He might not be looking to go to college, but if he is at that range 17, 18, I hope that he gets into a good school and then you know has a good career. Otherwise, I'm happy to have him backing up Ochoa or De La Soda, or at some point maybe taking over the reins and putting on the gloves himself.
I think it's crazy. We have to kind of like widen our vision just to even appreciate how good of goalkeepers we have at the club. Emi
Right.
Ochoa is amazing for Quakes 2. De La Cerda, another amazing goalkeeper for Quakes 2. We have Daniel or Danielle. He's one of the best goalkeepers in all of MLS. And it's
Right.
crazy to think about because in the first couple of games he was super shaky and we weren't standing behind him. To be quite honest, not many fans were in support for Danielle, and here we are. And the stats show he's almost as good as, if not better than Berkey, the number one
Yep.
slash number two goalkeeper in MLS. He has the stats to prove it. And JT Marcinkowski, to finalize the list, is among what is it the top 7 or top 10 goalkeepers in MLS as well statistically.
In terms of save percentage, yeah.
Right. So it's just amazing to see all the goalkeepers on our team thriving, and I think it stems from that one goalkeeping coach that we have, who also coached Slonina before he went to Chelsea.
Yeah.
Do you know his name?
Yeah. Aiden Brown,
Aiden
I
Brown.
think. Yeah, that's our current goalkeeper coach. That I assume that's who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, Aiden Brown. I've watched him warm up the keepers on the like. I've been on the field watching him. He is a gigantic man. I'm sure he was an amazing keeper, in his time. But yeah, he doesn't speak the same language as Daniel, but he makes sure he understands what he's saying.
Oh
Um,
yeah, I mean I've met him in person. Holy crap,
yeah,
he's wham.
yeah. But yeah, no, I agree with you. I think that's a very good point to make because we don't get enough keeper appreciation nowadays. I think that everyone's like, "Oh, the goal went in. I mean, the keeper's fault." Like, no, there is so much missed nuance when you just
Right.
chalk it up to the keeper every time.
I think one thing I'd like to point out is how good Daniel was versus Nashville to
Yeah,
even keep the score equal. Um, I don't think I think in the first half we could have conceded plenty of goals. Um, the blame could be placed to anyone. Um, I'd have to rewatch the game
I
again.
already blamed Chalco. I already blamed
Yeah,
Chalco.
that's true. You did. And to be fair, I think a lot of the blame goes to a lot of players, but definitely not Danielle. Definitely not JT. Um, they've been fantastic, and that one save he
Yeah,
had in verse, and I keep bringing RSL up. I know we've talked about RSL a lot, but that one save he had versus RSL, point blank, managed to tip it over, and one of our center backs managed to head it out. Like, how do you even make that save? It's absolutely insane.
right. And against Hani Mukhtar, I believe he made another like pretty much point blank save where uh, Mukhtar turned Rodriguez into a pretzel, and then got a free shot on goal, and then Mensa obviously was there to clear it, thankfully. But Daniel has been huge. Like I don't think that we're anywhere near where we are in the table without uh, Danielle. Putting up the big numbers and getting those saves and keeping the game low scoring because without him, I mean JT's great and he is a great keeper in his own regard, but uh, when you when oh my god, your keeper needs to be able to stop the ball from going in the goal, and Daniel is amazing at shot stopping. That's his cup of tea, and that's why we spent so much to bring him in. We spent an international slot on a goalkeeper, which is very rare, and we knew that it was a risky decision, but it must be done for a good reason, and we're seeing it pay out, and it was done for a good reason. Bruno Costa did a great job to scout this guy out and bring him over.
Yeah, well, like you said, no disrespect to JC Marcinkowski. We've already stated here that he's among the top 10 goalkeepers in MLS, or at least we think so. But Danielle has one step over the bar over JT, and yeah, bringing him on to a club, an MLS club, where you have only a certain amount of international slots, and you use an international slot on a goalkeeper, and he's proven his worth to the team. And I don't know
Over
how
and over
to
and over.
over and
He's done
over and
it
over.
multiple times.
It's hard to pay respects to him the way we are now. Like there's so much more that we can thank him for, but we can just leave it as thank you so much. Um, you've done brilliantly for us, and we hope in the last 3 games um, Daniel continues to shine despite what we've seen from him um, off the field and him using his ice on his knee or his leg. We hope that doesn't affect him in the rest of the season.
Yeah, no, he's not 100% fit. You know, that's weird to say because of how good he is on the field, but he's not. He does have knee problems, but he fights through them because he wants to win games for this team, and that's very admirable to sign up to get the ball shot directly at you every weekend. Uh, I definitely wouldn't do it, but Daniel, obrigado. That I think is thank you in Portuguese. And maybe he'll see this, and that's the one word he'll understand of this whole podcast. But
Someone
yeah,
can clip it.
definitely, huge props to Daniel for coming to this team and then sticking through all the hate that he got immediately, and then now is like basically a club legend.
Definitely. So going into this next match against Minnesota United, what are you personally expecting, Abram?
Expecting. Um, I'm expecting another 4-3-3. Um, I did see Lucci at the Quakes 2 game, and our friend, shout out to Nestor. Nestor was asking me, please shout at Lucci and tell him we want the 352. I was like, I am not doing that while I have credentials on, my friend. Um, but
That's not a good idea.
no, it's not. Um, but yeah, I think we're going to see the 4-3-3, and I think Montero is still going to play. But the one thing that I do want to ask you about is, do you think it's Hoppe or Cade? Because I feel like you can't really start Cade. Like, not that Cade has been horrible. We've seen him play much worse and still start. But Hoppe is in good form now. And we brought him in. We brought him in on a loan, and he is a big name, and we haven't seen enough of him. So, to not give him this time would be kind of bizarre to me. What do you think?
I agree with you. I think form is really what matters, and over the last week, especially versus Portland, he got a goal away. It was a crucial goal that put us back into the game, and it was one of the only goals we've scored versus Portland. And
It
you
was the
can,
only goal, yeah.
well, I mean, like all season, at
Oh,
least away.
like
So
Devon, we scored one goal that day.
I know. No, but we thank Hoppy for keeping us in the game versus Portland, and I think he deserves another chance at an away game. I think Hoppy is the one that deserves to start. Given all my praises to Cade and how he's improved lately, he hasn't statistically given us the points. He hasn't made any assists. He hasn't made um, goal contributions as of late, anyway. I know he has in recent, and he's been part of build-ups, but I think as of recent, in terms of form, Hoppy deserves to start over Cade.
I'm 100% with you. I feel like if you don't start Hoppy, if I'm Hoppy, I'm kind of pissed because like I'm leaving in a few weeks. You might as well play me. Hoppy's loan, by the way, is misreported as being a year-long loan. It is until the end of the season. And we can probably extend it. I don't really know the ins and outs of that deal, but we don't have Hoppy much longer. So, we got to get him in there while we still can. And I Akinola is a similar, situation, but I'm not sure I want to see him. I don't think I, extend the same sentiments to Akinola as I do Hoppy. What do you think?
Right. I don't see Akinola. I know Akinola was thankful to be brought here in San Jose. He's always had a positive mentality here. But I also think he's in somewhat of a bad headspace. This is just from an outside perspective. I think whatever was happening in Toronto, he wanted to get away from, and we brought him out here so he can hopefully revive his form. And he hasn't had the minutes technically to prove it, but from what we've seen already, we have more talented players on the team who deserve the minutes. Again, no discredit to Ao Akinola, but I think we do have better talented players in the pool um, who can make a better impact for the team. So I think that said, he will definitely not be re-signed to the team after his short spell. And I hope Hoppy's loan is extended if he's looking to get back into the groove of things with European transfer market. You're going to have to give him a little bit more time with the club he's at. You can't expect him to thrive only 5 or 6 games here and then pick up form back in Europe. I don't think that's going to happen that way. And I don't think Middlesbrough is it Middlesbrough?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think Middlesbrough would play Hoppy entering, the middle of the season once our season is over. I just don't see it happening. He's missed a lot of games, so why not extend the loan if possible?
Right. No, it makes sense on a business deal. Middlesbrough doesn't seem to like him in the first place. He hasn't played too much for them, and when he has, he hasn't had the best of form. And they probably had similar complaints to us when he first arrived, but he is scoring now, and now we want to see him keep doing that if he still can. While he's hot, we have to keep playing him. And I think I have faith in Lucci to see that, and I think that we'll at least see Hoppe off the bench, at the very least. But
Definitely. And one of the things, sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you there, but one
no,
of the things I'd like to praise Lucci for, especially last game versus Nashville, is we went down fairly not quickly, but we went down and immediately Lucci in the second half started to make early substitutions, as early in the 50th minute. We haven't seen that before from him. All of the substitutions have been from minute 70 and on. Um, so the fact he made those changes early, switched to a 3-5-2, we were able to claw our way back and fight and fight. But going back to the comparison with Hoppy and Cade, one of the things that was mentioned in our Discord server is that we don't believe, or some of the fans don't believe, me included, that Cade would be an like a midfielder, outside midfielder worthy player of a 3-5-2 system. I know he had a chance to play in that position or role, either a couple of games ago or whatnot. He didn't necessarily thrive, but I think there were better players like Hoppy that deserved another striker position next to Jibo. Um, in terms of individual qualities, I think Hoppy is more capable of taking on a player one on one and distributing the ball after taking him on. He showed that several times in the game versus Nashville. He took a couple of players on and he was still able to release the ball. And I think it was Hoppy that made that pass to Jamiro Montero, who smashed it straight at the keeper in the second half. So, in terms of comparison, I think having Matthew Hoppe against Minnesota in an away game, taking on defenders and successfully releasing the ball when necessary, is crucial to our attacks. So that is one of my reasons why I think Hoppe should start over Cade.
Yeah, I fully agree. I think that tactically, in terms of ball retention, if anything, Hoppy is better than Kid at that right now because Kid loses the ball frequently, and he's doing it while he's trying things. But I think that Hoppy brings a different value, and a more consistency, and less like risk, when he's on the field versus Cade. Um, and yeah, I didn't think that he had it in him to take players on one, because he looked super slow when he first got here. But against Nashville, he just started running like a train, and he just started going and made things happen. So if we can keep seeing that guy take the field, then I'd be more than happy to let him keep starting.
Definitely. And another name that we can bring up, and we haven't even said his name much, is Christian Espinosa.
Yep.
His ability on the right hand side in both formations of a 4-3-3 and a 3-5-2 is effective. Given what we've seen, Hoppy and Jibo as strikers and Espinosa on the right mid or right winger, he can do both. He can defend, he can attack. He is in just outside the pool, I guess, in terms of most fans' perspectives of an MVP candidacy for the league. I think he's within the pool of MVP conversation because of his contributions to the team. It's unfortunate, based off of what Hayden said. I think Espinoza is worthy of candidacy if we were higher up the table, because
Yeah.
we're fighting for we're still fighting for that bottom playoff spot, is the reason why he isn't getting the recognition he deserves. But Christian Espinoza, during Nashville, during Portland, still was able to contribute whatever he could. And he was the guy who passed it, or generated the chance that led to Hoppy's goal, um,
Yep.
or
He
the
did.
Portland goal. I think it was Trauco that made the pass to Hoppy's goal versus Nashville.
No, it was a Christian. Okay, yeah. I have it in my head, so I'm gonna play it out for you.
Go ahead.
It was a cross from the left to Christian Espinosa, who volleyed it first time. Amazing shot, but it came off the keeper, who fumbled it, and Hoppe was standing there. He
Yep.
put it the tap in
Yep. Well, I
for the
was
Portland goal.
yeah, for the Nashville goal, I think it was a Trauco pass across.
It was a capo.
Sorry, did I say Trauco?
Yeah.
Sorry, it was an Acapo pass, on the deck, by the way, and on the deck meaning, the ball never left the
Yeah.
ground. Um, and Hoppy managed the first time finish. He slipped, as you can tell in the replay. If you watch the replay again, Hoppy makes a little slit right before he shoots, but he recovers himself well and he slots it far post first time. Um, and that's also one of the things I've been asking for our San Jose offense. We need more first time opportunities. A lot of
Yeah.
chances, for example, like Cade Cowell or Jeremy Abobasi, um, they like to take an extra touch. They like to make that perfect opportunity for themselves, which I can't blame them. If you think there's a space there, then you're going to take that extra touch. But I think in terms of creating danger for the opposition, you need to put the ball on target, and it has to be a first time effort.
No, 100%. And he brings a quality that I think it comes from playing in Europe for so many years. It's hard to make that shot across goal after you just slip, but he had the presence of mind and the coordination to just like set himself right and put that shot exactly where he wants it. And you're right that we do need finishers. We need to finish. I don't think any team doesn't need to finish, but that he brings something that we haven't really had on the left hand side. Just like a goal scorer, just pure put it in the back of the net. Yeah, with that being said, we could talk about Quakes forever, but we've already gone over an hour, so we're gonna have to cut it here. Devin, do you have anything that you'd like to plug?
I do not have anything to plug actually. The only thing I request is MLS to make their goalposts wider.
Yeah, that would be very helpful, especially for the game against Nashville. But yeah, with that being said, thank you guys for tuning in to this episode of Draconic Takes. We will probably have more people on next time, and we are approaching our 100th episode, so make sure to stay tuned for that. But until then, we will see you guys next time. Go Quakes!
Later.